Welcome back to the JBoard YouTube channel. Today we're talking SEO for job boards with Lior Neu-ner, founder of Remote Rocketship, a job board that grew to 450,000 monthly clicks using smart SEO tactics. In this episode, you're going to learn how to optimize job postings so that Google ranks them higher. You're going to learn the secret to high traffic landing pages and why they're essential. You're also going to learn how to use Google's Search Console to fix indexing issues and unlock growth for your job board. Lior shares his top strategies for driving massive organic traffic, plus a simple trick to outrank your competitors so that you can start today. So if you're running a job board and want more traffic, better rankings, and bigger results, then this episode is absolutely for you. Let's jump in. Lior, welcome to the show.
Yeah, good to be here, Martin. Thanks for having me.
An absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. So let's jump straight into it. Lior, can you give us a bit about your background, your professional background, and what led you to start Remote Rocketship?
Yeah, I got into job boards a bit by accident, actually. So story was, I was a software engineer working at Meta, or Facebook as it was then called. And I was there for about 5 years. And after 5 years, I was getting a bit bored of like corporate life and wanted to do something different. So I decided to quit. And basically, I gave myself a year to try and just build a startup or a product or a SaaS or something, and just build my own company. And it's actually during this time that what happened was my wife was looking for a job. And what I noticed is that like she was having an extremely bad time. She was getting frustrated. She was applying to loads of jobs. She wasn't hearing back, and she just couldn't find enough jobs. And I thought this was crazy because I knew of so many great companies that were hiring, but she wasn't finding their jobs on like LinkedIn or any of the other job boards. I dug in a bit deeper into the space, and then I learned, quite obviously that that companies need to pay to post their jobs on job boards and LinkedIn, which means that if a company is not paying that job board or not paying LinkedIn, that you're not going to see their job. And so she was missing out on a lot of jobs. So I thought, this is crazy. I've got a better idea. I'm actually just going to build a website where every day I'm going to just scrape jobs directly from ATS websites and just aggregate them and put them on a single website for her to search. And so this is how Remote Rocketship works. Every day, we scrape, I think it's like now 50, 60, 70,000 different companies. And if we find new remote jobs, we put it on our website.
And how did you decide on focusing on remote jobs? So you mentioned about the challenge of jobs on LinkedIn disappearing very quickly if employers go for like a free job posting, 10 applications and it's gone, those kind of things. How did you decide on that niche of purely remote jobs?
Oh yeah, I think it was a few things. So one, it was she was looking for a remote job, so there was that. But also, I think remote jobs tend to be more competitive just because they have a lot more demand, but much less supply. A lot of people really want to work remote. The companies are less keen on it these days. And so, I really wanted to help her out. So this is why I decided to focus on remote jobs only.
And is there a niche specifically in remote jobs, or is it any remote job, or is it remote engineering, tech, software?
It's every type of job. It tends to skew more towards like tech industry and tech company, but really I do everything: engineering, sales, marketing, everything.
Excellent. Now, the reason why I was desperate to get you on the show was because your job board, Remote Rocketship, has seen a significant amount of growth, and you've become a little bit renowned in the industry for your exceptional use of and taking advantage of SEO, and to the point where I know that you also kind of launched a course for job board owners on SEO as well. So why let's focus in on SEO, because I know that's ultimately why we wanted to kind of have you on the show and talk to you a little bit more about what you've done. Talk to me about how you first kind of like clicked when it came to growing the job board through SEO.
Oh, I mean, this was like also by complete accident. So, what happened was, I built this website for my wife. Great. Shared it with a few people. They loved it. And now the next thing was, cool, how do I get more people to use it? And then I came across, it was a tweet by a guy called Phil from 4-Day Week, which I believe you've had on the show before me.
Yeah.
And he outlined a bit about SEO. At the time, I knew absolutely nothing about SEO. And from his tweet, I was like, oh, maybe I could do this. And so I gave it a try. So I started from like really just like absolute zero, no knowledge, no clicks. And, fast forward today, I think I checked in the last month, I've gotten about 450,000 clicks, and that's in 2 years.
Excellent. So
it's 450,000 in the last month.
Wow. Okay. So why don't we define what you mean by clicks? That would be kind of a great kind of starter to some people who are completely new to this world of SEO and conversions and all those things.
So clicks essentially, if somebody is typing into Google, in my case, remote jobs or remote marketing jobs, the clicks are either from like the results in the Google search page, or some of you may be familiar with the Google's job widget, and so it's either clicks from that or from Google the search page itself.
So we're talking about people that have searched for something on Google or Google Jobs, and have found a result that's from your job board and have clicked through. So 450,000 clicks from search results into Remote Rocketship in the last month.
Exactly. That's exactly
incredible.
And, started from zero here. So I also am a bit in shock sometimes how many people are actually visiting my website.
And how long has it taken you to go from 0 to 450,000 clicks a month?
It's been about 2 years.
Still very, very, very impressive. Absolutely. Absolutely. And look, the whole point of getting you on was maybe if you could, without ruining some of your kind of like industry secrets that I know that you deliver on your course, trying to get some of those secrets out for you, just so that we can give people a bit of an understanding, a bit of an idea about where they can start when it comes to their SEO optimization journey for their own board.
Absolutely. I mean, always happy to share secrets, as you put it. I love chatting. Maybe just before we jump into it, I'll also give a quick shout out to Alex Tchaikovsky, which is, I think a lot of people in the job board industry know him. He's also a guy who's got tons of SEO knowledge and somebody who I've worked with a lot on SEO in the past. So a lot of the stuff that I've learned from him as well. So just quick shout out to him.
Good to know. Yeah. And a fantastic resource within the industry. Alexander Tchaikovsky, as you'll find him on LinkedIn and all those kind of places. But we'll hopefully get him on the on the show at some point soon as well, to talk about his own job board as well. Not only just some of the kind of fantastic knowledge that he has in general. Definitely one to pick up if you're not already following him on LinkedIn and all the other places that he is. And he's also got a blog as well that he regularly updates. So great shout out, absolutely great shout out. Cool. So let's jump into it. I when we kind of planned for this episode and we put together a bit of a briefing, I said, well, let's find kind of the top 3 areas that can make an impact when it comes to SEO for job boards. And the first one was about the job postings. Ultimately, we have to start somewhere. And like you said, a lot of job board owners, they aggregate, they scrape, they get jobs on. How do we optimize job postings from an SEO perspective?
Yeah. I think the first thing to understand here is like what Google is looking for from job posting and from job boards. And ultimately, look, Google wants its users to have a good experience. And a good experience for somebody who's looking for a job is somebody who's finding like lots of high quality job postings. And, what do we mean by something that's high quality? It's like, a job that is usually relatively recent, right? Nobody wants to find a job posting that it was posted a year ago. Something that was posted, within the last day, ideally. Um, and it just has like tons of information about like the job itself, what it entails, what are the requirements, is it full-time, part-time, what is the salary? And the more of this information you can provide to Google, the more Google understands, okay, your website has lots of high quality job postings. I know if Google knows, if they send users to your website, the users are going to have a good time. And so this is what Google wants from job postings. And so basically, so if we look at like the job posting structured data, which is the snippet you can add on your job posting pages. Basically, on this page, Google has outlined, what they're looking for. And the biggest tip I can give to people is that like you should put as much of this information as possible, as accurately as possible. Okay. The more information you have, the more Google understands that you have a high quality job posting, that your website is reliable, and this is a reliable job posting. And so Google wants to send people here. And so really what I would recommend to people here is that, Google has outlined, if I just scroll to the bottom here, Google has outlined, all sorts of requirements, what the job posting needs to have. Some of them they've marked as required and mandatory, and others they've remarked as recommended, as you see here. And others they've marked for even as in beta. Now, my advice to job boards is that you should fill in every single one of these. Just because Google says, I think this is what trips a lot of people up, is that like just because Google says it's recommended, people think like, oh, it's optional, I don't need to include it. Like, yes, maybe you technically don't need to include it, but the more of this information you include, the higher the chances are Google's going to show you. So really,
don't just do the bare minimum. As much as possible.
Don't do the bare minimum. Do as much as possible, as accurate as possible, in the way that Google has asked for it. They've specified a lot of examples what you should put for all the values and things like that. They've specified that you should do it in that format as well. And again, you should do the recommended properties. If you scroll down to the bottom here, I think there is some stuff in beta as well. As you can see, they're playing around with some education and experience properties. Like, if you're going to add these to your job postings, Google's going to show you, when they start rolling out features with education and experience. So you definitely want to include that.
And just to kind of dial back a little bit, you're showing us all these bits of information. Where can people find this themselves? So I can see Google Search Central. Is there a specific address people need to go to find this, or can they just search?
You can just search. I mean, I think we can share this link. These are just the Google Docs for their job posting structured data. Let's just
we'll make sure
here.
That link's on the video description. Yeah.
The other thing I'd mention. So I mentioned that you need to fill out as many of these fields as possible. Which and fill them out accurately. One thing you can do is you can check in your search console. If here's my search console. If you scroll down here on the left-hand column to job postings, it will basically load a page showing how many of your job postings are indexed. But the bit that I want to call out here is if you scroll a bit down, Google shows information here, like maybe why some of your job postings are invalid, or how you can improve some item appearance. So just for an example, you see on my one, I have this row here saying missing field base salary, and I have 25,000 jobs that are missing a base salary. So Google's telling me like, look, I can, we will show you, like, you can improve the appearance of these jobs if you're adding the salary. And basically my tip to people here is like, you should make sure that like you have no issues here. I think salary is the one you can make an exception for, because like not all jobs have salary. But know that if a job has a salary, it's much, much likely to show up higher in the search results than the other jobs. So you should make sure that for every single one of these, you have like 0 items and you've fixed everything. Yeah. So I would say like this is the first action item I recommend for like job board owners is like, go right now, go to your job postings in your search console and see what issues you have and fix all of them. Both the ones that appear in the invalid section and both the ones that that appear in the improve item appearance section.
Yeah, I mean that like you said, I can imagine salary being a bit of a challenge because you're at the whim of an employer's career site, and most employers, unless you're legally have to do it in certain places in the States, don't put a salary on, and some places in Europe are starting to. But it's that's probably the most difficult one. But it's really interesting that having a salary on there would affect in a positive way, the indexing of your job post, and actually probably something that some employers can probably learn from as well. It's actually, if you put salaries on there, not only is it very good from a salary transparency perspective, but it's also fantastic from a recruitment marketing perspective as well.
Yeah, exactly. And this applies also to other fields, like location or whether the job is full-time or part-time or anything really. The more information you have on the job posting, the better.
Nice.
Cool. Shall we jump? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that's great. I mean, is there anything else on optimizing the job posting before we move on to the next one?
No, I think that's about it on the job posting. I think what we should look at now is the job posting page itself. And for this, I've brought a bad example and a good example. I think this is the best way to look at it. So here I have a website called Data Analyst Jobs, and here here's one of their job posting pages, and it's got fairly, it's got all the job information. It's got the when it was posted, the location, things like that. And so on the surface, this looks fine, but the reason why I say this is a bad job posting page is that there is nowhere else for Google to go from here, or the user actually. So let's say Google is indexing this page, it's crawling this page. Once it's called this page, there's nowhere else for it to go. There's no other links here. There's no other, related jobs or things like that. So it's just Google is just going to index this page, and that's it. And that's very much a wasted opportunity. Because once Google is crawling your site, if it's detecting other links, it's there's a high chance that it's going to crawl those links as well. And the same goes for users. If a user is on your site and they may be interested in this job, they could be interested in other similar jobs. So there's a lot of wasted opportunity here, both for Google and for the user. And I think you find that something that is good for the user is also good for Google.
I think that's a very, very good point, actually. And I think when you think about it, the key term is crawling. You're asking Google to crawl something, and crawling for me, I think about kind of something moving through something. And so if I mean, I know there's not something physically crawling through your website, but if it gets to a dead end, it can't crawl any further.
Exactly.
So I presume you just want it to be able to just be able to move its way through your website, through those internal links that you talked about, recommended jobs and all those kind of things, in a very smooth fashion, which, like I said, if I think about crawling, I think about allowing something to move freely.
Yeah, exactly. I think you use dead end is the right word. You don't want Google to get to a dead end. And so now let me show you an example of what I think is a good page. And this is my website, so obviously I think this is good, but so here I have the job posting, but there's I've put here a lot of additional links and information for the user and for Google to go. So I will start, this is a data analyst job. And if you scroll to the bottom here I've already put in this case, I put 5 similar jobs. So, when Google is crawling the site, it's now, there's a high likelihood it's going to crawl these jobs as well. And, and then when it crawls, each one of these jobs also has related jobs on it. So, it's going to keep finding more and more and more jobs. And in this way, I get Google just to index more and more of my jobs. That's the first thing. The other thing is I've also put lots of nice links for Google to go to and index. So, for example, here I have a button to search more data analyst jobs, and this takes you to a page dedicated specifically for data analyst jobs. I've put the same button again here at the bottom. So a user or Google is going to take this link and go index that landing page as well. And then I've taken it a little bit more even to the extreme. So here in this job information, I've put information like the country or whether it's full time or the amount of experience required, and these are also links. So if I click here, this is going to take me to a page for remote jobs for United States specifically. And so again, this gives Google something else to do, gives something else for the user to go to. And so this is how I make sure that like these landing pages are also getting indexed. Same here for full time. So if you click on here, this will take you to a page for jobs that are only full time, mid-level, senior jobs. You can similarly also discover more jobs here from the same company. Google is going to detect all these links and hopefully crawl all of them. I've given Google something to do, and also for users that are coming to my website, they have more to explore on my website.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Again, that kind of lacking of dead ends. You mentioned something there a few times, and it's something I wanted to talk about as well. So we might as well jump onto it, which is you mentioned landing pages, and you probably said that word about 6 times just in there. And that's a good thing. People continuously talk to me about landing pages and tell me about landing pages when it comes to job boards. Now, in my kind of background and my experience, when I think about landing pages, I think about things like, SaaS, landing pages where somebody hasn't launched a business yet and somebody will come onto a landing page and fill in a form. Well, what do we mean about landing pages when we talk about job boards, and why is that so important?
Right. It's a good shot. I was using this terminology landing page, but I didn't explain what it was.
Yeah.
But essentially, so for a website like mine, again, we're focusing on remote jobs. Now, somebody in Google is going to type in, they could type in remote jobs. But you can imagine there are lots of other queries somebody might type in, for example, I'm a software engineer, so I would type remote software engineer jobs.
Yeah.
Or, perhaps I'm more specialized at that. I would type remote Android jobs if I'm an Android developer, or remote sales jobs, or maybe I'm looking for a remote job, but I'm based in Germany. So I type remote jobs Germany, and there's all these different queries that people would search for, and perhaps even combined. And so the idea is that like if you create specific pages for each one of these queries, Google knows that that this is content that is highly related to what somebody's searching for, and there's a good chance they'll show it to their users. So, for example, here, I have a page here for remote data analyst jobs, and so this is separate from my homepage, right? This is not my homepage. This is if you look at the URL here, it's remoterocketship.com/jobs/data analyst, and what I'm trying to target here is that if somebody goes into Google and types in remote data analyst jobs, I have a page, that is dedicated specifically for those data analyst jobs. And if you scroll this page, you'll see that it's only data analyst jobs. And the idea is I'm just trying to show Google that, my website can match the user's intent. This, a person's looking for remote data analyst jobs, that's their intent. I have this page specifically for that. And the idea is I'm trying to get Google to rank my page for this.
So how do you do that at scale? Because, when I think about it, I think about, anybody in the world could go on to a search engine and they could type in remote data analyst jobs, or they could type in, remote Android developer jobs, or they could type in, you name it, and for other niches, it could be, data analyst jobs in Chicago, or it might not be remote, for other kind of niches. How do you do that at scale? How do you know what the intent is there? And that's the bit that I'm trying to get my head around. Is it something that you can automate in your platform? Is it something that you have to spend time building out? How do you do that?
Yeah. So I guess like the way to start is to just think about, like, who are your users and what are the things they're likely to be searching for in Google. And that, that's different from like for each niche. So that's really the starting point. And you'll find that, you can usually build out like thousands of different landing pages. And, this is where like automation and programmatic SEO comes. But that's sort of the foundation. And basically, like, there's a lot of different angles you could look at it in terms of like, if you want to come up with different landing pages yourself to create. But really, it starts with like, who are my users and what are they searching for in Google? And so, like, let's say I'll do an example in my case, right? I know people are looking for different various remote jobs. I serve a whole variety of different job titles. So, like, that's one starting point for me. I can serve, remote jobs and then combine it with the job title. And then I know people searching for remote jobs in different countries, so I can use the countries. I know people also search for part-time and full-time and internships and things like that. And so I combine it with all these different combinations. But, let's say you have somebody who is building a job for plumbers, right? Now, likely, and I don't know anything about plumber jobs, so this is all, I'm just hypothesizing it, right? But I imagine a plumber, there may be some different kind of niches, specialities of what plumbers do. So, somebody might type plumber jobs, housing, or plumber jobs for buildings. I don't know what is the, so, like that sort of stuff. I imagine plumbers could also search for like jobs by area or city or even postcode, right? And so these, like, if somebody's searching for a plumber job in whatever postcode, if you have landing pages dedicated to those postcodes, like, it's likely that these landing pages are going to show up for Google in Google. And you it comes down to like, who are my users and what are the different combinations that they can search for, and how many of these different landing pages can I create for them?
Interesting. And I'm contractually obliged to mention that JBoard users, JBoard absolutely helps people build these landing pages in a very automated way as well, to kind of take some of that headache away. And that's all I'm going to say on JBoard. But no, I totally get it. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I've been kind of keeping mental notes here to kind of go back and look over the stuff that I do on my own job board as well. So this has been really, really interesting, Lior. So I suppose, let's summarize this, because like I said, I don't want to give away too many of your secrets that you deliver on your course. But I suppose, taking everything that we've talked about today, what would be your kind of summary? If I was a brand new job board builder, founder, entrepreneur, and I wanted to take advantage of SEO opportunities, where would be your, based on the conversation today, what would be your kind of 2 to 3 places to start that would make a huge impact?
Yeah, I would say so. The first thing I would keep in mind is, like, again, Google is looking for like high quality jobs, so be a reliable partner for them, like, give them high quality jobs, show them what they want, give them, like, try post jobs that, that have been, that are relatively new, that have lots of information, that have a salary. This is the type of thing Google likes. And the more reliable you can be, the more traffic they will send to you. The other tip I will give to people is to research your competitors. And what I mean by this is, for any one of your like search queries or whatever you're targeting, try to go into Google, type in, what is that query? So, using the remote data analyst jobs example, go into Google, you type in remote data analyst jobs, and see, in Google, which are all the pages that are ranking above you. Look at them, see what they have on that page that's missing from your website. Are there other things that you can like take and steal information from to make your pages better? And again, you can do this for the job postings as well. If you go into the Google Jobs widget, go in there, see which jobs are ranking above you, see what they have on their pages that you don't have. And often I find that like the starting point is just like you can get so much inspiration from them that, ultimately help you increase your rankings.
Interesting. So give Google what they want. Yeah, be a good partner to Google. And also, if you haven't done already, research what your competitors are doing and take advantage of that, so that you can try and rank above them. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, maybe just third tip is that I'll give another quick shout to my SEO course. I go a lot more into all of this stuff into a lot more detail.
Fantastic.
So
Well, how do people find you and potentially look at learning more from you?
Yeah, so my SEO course is available on jobboardseoguide.com. Or you can find me on Twitter, Lior NN. Or you just send me an email. My email's on the Remote Rocketship website, but it's just lior@remoterocketship.com.
That's fantastic. We'll make sure we link to all of that when we put the description together for this episode. But in the meantime, Lior, it's been absolutely fascinating getting some top tips from you on SEO for job boards. Really appreciate your time, and thank you so much.
Awesome, amazing. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Absolute pleasure.